Welcome back to Case Closed, Anime Review, episode 152. At the time of recording this, it's already at the midnight, and it's already May. Well, because I'm no one here, and I feel like basically doing this. That's the only reason why. Normally, basically, I wouldn't do this, but one of those rare occasions where I have the whole house to myself, I can do this no problem. Okay? So this one, reviewing the newest chapter of the news episode of the anime, the Unslated Alibi, and the 1093rd chapter of the manga. This whole thing was the Alibi thing. My gosh. It almost felt as though this was pretty much almost a waste of time of an episode to watch. I at least got praise to the fact that I at least remember, oh yeah, I have Rise in the series. Okay, so the thing starts off with basically an old lady says some young woman pushed her on the stairs. And basically they try to figure out who actually caused the actual accident. They suspect this guy may know. It's like, nah, he's sweating, and he just walks away. By the way, this particular little case is not resolved until after the credits. Yeah, the whole thing with this one that's revealed at the end of the episode, this had nothing to do with this guy at all, and it turns out the old lady was lying. Yep. And somehow they had to fall, like, maybe he suspects something. So, basically, the boys, follow him around. Conan doesn't do much of anything the whole time, the whole episode. So they follow him around, and they have these various wild confrontations happening. Weird stuff happened the whole episode. And then, of course, then they finally run into him in their town. And he gets arrested by the inspector because he's a suspect. He's a person of interest. Well, not exactly a prime suspect. They're basically a person of interest in a injury case. Which, here's the thing. I'm like, why the heck were they involved with this? I mean, their department is homicide. Why the heck is investigating an injury case? Yeah, and this basically, you might think, oh, is this connected to, like, the whole thing with this guy, what goes on with him? Not really. It turns out that the whole thing with this one is that we have this guy who was hit by a freaking log on the back of the head and investigating who made penny. Was it him? No, it was some lady who had a grudge against him. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And it turns out the guy they thought they saw, well, it turns out actually was him. Yeah, it turns out it was actually another guy who looks exactly like him when they run something in the episode, toward half of the episode, where these look exactly like each other, and he basically used this guy to be his body double while he commits a murder of a dentist who he suspects who killed his mother. Excuse me, but before he could plan out the murder, he gets hit by a car. No, I'm not kidding about that. He gets hit by a freaking car. And he's in the hospital. Wakes up and he realizes, oh yeah, divine punishment for attempted murder of dentist. Yep. And yeah. After they realize though that, well, excuse me, the whole thing was just, like, it just felt as though at the end of this episode, like, wow, this episode was a complete waste of time. And like I said, here's the thing. There's only two good things. Here's the thing. Conan reveals everything. He doesn't knock anybody out, which is surprising. And I think the kids are lying, but turns out they're actually all telling the truth. They actually bothered this investigating. By the way, you have Tagagi, Keba, and McGuire in the episode. First time in a little while he's been seeing this series. And they do practically nothing. I mean, you bring the police in and they'll do investigating. Nope, it's all the kids doing it. I'm like, really? You can't have them work with them? Nope. We have to do this nonsense. Whatever. Yeah. But in the case of the overall final thing with this episode, it felt like this episode was nothing more than a waste of time of a story. At least next week's episode looks a lot more interesting because we're going back to the wild police story arc. Yes, looking forward to that. Alright, moving on to chapter 1093, Photogenic, which is the final chapter of the story arc. Why decided I do that for? Because once again, we have a story arc that's only 3 chapters. For some reason, I don't know why, apparently the last time that we had an arc that was 3 chapters was the FBI serial murder case. That was 6 parts. This, once again, is a 3-parter. And I message for Atomic Kashido. When you do your next story arc, can we please have a story arc that is longer than 3 chapters? Yeah, so we figure out who actually is behind this and expect the poison came from one of the 3 ladies. One is a waitress, the other is works at apparel store, and the other one works at a bookstore. And of course, they still have the whole thing of like the girls basically wondering like why the heck they all swap boyfriends. Yeah, this actually is exactly the reason why for this. So we have Yumi doing detection show to figure out who was behind the murder, the poison of this woman. And here's the thing: this is the first time Yumi has ever done a deduction show. So they pull the chairs out, and they have 3 suspects basically sit at a table, serve pretty much very similar food, very poison, and turns out it's actually the woman who works at the apparel store. Yep, it turns out she's actually the one behind the murder. Like with somebody sticking the finger. Yeah, and the reason why? Because apparently the reason why she did this actually is not her. It's I think it was the bookstore one, wasn't it? It was the waitress. Yes, it was the first suspect. Yeah. So yeah, the reason why? Because a guy she liked was driven dead by her. Yeah, that was the reason why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently because she's a terrible woman, so she basically killed her because of that. Yeah. And that was the reason for it. No, that's not a joke. And then they reveal by the end of the chapter, oh, what was the reason why for the girls to swap boyfriends for a single night? Well, that was a thank you for helping give gifts for the girlfriends. And what was the gift for the girls, you might ask? A concert at the Tokyo Dome. They say Saturday the 4th, Tokyo Dome. Normally, when you have a date like this, usually that means the wrestling event by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Nope, it's a concert. Held at the Tokyo Dome. For reasons. Yeah. Though, it's not the Tokyo Dome. It's the Tahito Dome. Yep. The girls are happy. The guy's like, okay. Yeah. Here's the thing. 2 of them are, one's an inspector, one's a detective, the other one basically was a Shogun King. And by the way, these knights, they kind of remind me of the band Kiss. Yeah, I'm sure basically a cluster of these guys. I mean, it's just me, or these guys look exactly like Kiss. Excuse me. I guess these guys are just a stand-in for them, possibly. And apparently the guys found them too, which just seems a bit odd. The fact that it's like, okay, and of course it's a bit of a happy ending, but now apparently like the very next chapter won't come out until June. That's fine. I don't have much issue with that. It's a little over a month, so give us a rest for the series. Yep. So yes, that's gonna be pretty much it for Sick of You. Later on, probably, well, kind of ish tomorrow. Basically, expect reviews for One Piece, Boruto, Kaguya 7 Levels 4, and I'm also going to do a comic book history on a comic creator. Which one? You'll find out later. Okay, next video. Bye.